pretty often I've seen people come up to my dad and ask him like, hey, like what product should I sell? What service should I sell? Like, does it matter what I sell? Like, what will get me to the point where you are right now and all this stuff, you know? So ultimately, does it matter? No, it does not matter. But, for example, we are in the pallet company business. Our product is individual pallets and we sell them by the truckload. So this is going to dictate how much you earn, right? Because we do not sell to just one individual. We do not sell one individual pallet to one individual person. Like, no, we sell to companies and we sell them by the truckloads. And now if you compare that to, for example, selling shirts, selling candles, selling whatever it is you're selling, but to customers or, you know, people that come into a store and like they can walk out, shoes, clothing, all that stuff, you're probably only selling a $50 shirt to one person, right? A $50 or $20, $10, $15 candle to one person, and now you have to wait for someone else to come, you know. So with one person, you can possibly generate from $5, $10 up to $15 to $20, $200, right, off of one person. But with us here, if these pallets here, even though, for example, let's say we're selling them for $2 a piece and a truckload contains 600, that's already $1,200 in one day in one truckload. Obviously here you have to factor in the whole fact that, you know, we have to repair the pallet, we have to separate the pallet, and we have to make sure and inspect the pallet before we can send it off to the customer. Then we have to load it, then we have to drive it up to the location where we're going to be dropping it off at. So there's a bit more variables that go into pricing it. Obviously we don't sell them for $2, but just to give you an idea, like even if we were to sell it for $5, $6, like it's not a whole lot per pallet. What makes the difference is the fact that we sell it by higher quantities. We have had people who come into the company and they're like, hey, I'm just looking for 5 or 10. All right, well, it's going to cost this much. And, you know, they'll give us the money and we'll give them those pallets. Yeah, we never turn down money. Never turn down money. But yeah, if you were to compare this, like the $2 per pallet, you know, which is imaginary numbers, just follow with me here. $2 per pallet, and you sell 600 in a truckload, that's already 1,200 in one day, right? Let's just say Monday we have scheduled one, and then let's say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we have scheduled another. Let's say we sell 2 per week, right? Which isn't that hard. It isn't really that something out of this world, right? So now we're selling around $2,000 to $2,400 approx in 1 week of pallets. Now, if you were to do this with shirts, and let's say you're selling a shirt, how much are shirts these days? Like 40, 45 bucks. We'll say 50. You know, it's a higher brand, you know, they do all their marketing, they do everything right. They already have a pretty nice following, so they are selling their shirts for around $50, right? In order for one person to be able to make you hit that 1,200 mark, they'd have to buy a lot of shirts. Or you would have to sell these shirts, your $50 shirts, to at least 24 people, 25 people, depending on your following. It may not be that hard, but you're having to sell to multiple people, when here we just have to get one contract with one company. You know, so product really doesn't matter. It really does not matter. It doesn't matter if you want to sell shirts. It does not matter if you want to sell pallets. It doesn't matter if you want to sell lumber, iron, plastic. It doesn't matter if you want to sell candles, sunglasses. It does not matter what you want to sell. What makes the difference is the amount of quantity that you sell. Where you go knock on doors of businesses and you try selling them your products so they can buy wholesale from you. Like, okay, we'll buy 20, 10, 15, 5. They might even start with 2, 3 boxes of your shirts. All right, send me 2 or 3 boxes of your shirts and we'll give it a shot and we'll see how it does and all that stuff. That's one way of doing it. You know, a lot of people tend to want to make stores and start off with the store, and like, if you don't have the finances to start off with the store, renting and all this, because there are expenses, you know, especially with like a boutique or like things like that, it's gonna be pretty hard depending on your location, depending on where you are, right? I don't have much faith for that type of business style, right? It's better if, you know, you just buy and you sell. Buy and you sell. You buy the shirts, you buy the candles, you buy whatever, and then you sell it to another company, but by multitude, you know, like, okay, here's my whole inventory, there you go, and I'll buy more inventory, and then there you go, you know, rather than, okay, I'll buy my inventory, now I have to wait for this to sell. Okay, hey, do you want a shirt? Yeah, okay, great, awesome, here you go. Hey, do you want a shirt? Okay, yeah, awesome, here you go. And, you know, so until you sell $1, like, no, let that be the responsibility of people who are already in that business, or, you know, who already have businesses that are dedicated to that. And while you're doing that, start growing your brand. That way it gets more recognition. That way you get seen more, and people start to relate with your designs and all stuff. Like, oh, hey, I've seen this design. This is from this guy. Oh yeah, like I like this, you know. And that's how it starts. You know, there's a lot of things that factor into selling a product. I can dive deep into another video on how to do that. But for this video here, ultimately, the product you want to sell does not matter. It doesn't matter what it is. Obviously, some products are priced higher too. That's another thing. One of the other things that comes into, you know, choosing your product is how much you can sell it for. You got to know your marketplace. You got to know how much this product is actually being sold out in the public, you know. So you have to search like, okay, how much are these type of shirts cost? Or okay, how much do pallets sell for? Or how much do cameras sell for, and all this stuff, you know. All these things you need to know beforehand. That way you know if you're willing to bust your butt to make an earning or make a living out of what it is you're trying to sell, you know. You know, here for us, I'm pretty sure you could sell a t-shirt, and a t-shirt's way more expensive than one pallet here, guaranteed, depending on the pallet, obviously. But let's say your prettiest t-shirt is gonna be way more expensive than my crappiest pallet that we sell here, or like the lowest costing pallet that we sell here, right? Well, guess what? I make a whole lot more money in one day with these pallets than you probably might with your set t-shirt, again, depending on all your marketing and how well known you are and all that stuff. There's a lot of people who like to buy stuff from China and bring it over here. Some people do drop shipping, and they look for the most popular product to sell on us. So sometimes don't look for it doesn't matter if it's popular or not. It does not matter if the product is popular. You do not need a popular product. You just need a product that you know very well, because you have to know your product. You can't just buy something you don't know anything about and then expect to sell it. You know, like if you ask me anything about these pallets, I'm gonna be able to give you an answer, even as to how many nails per pallet come in a pallet, right? So even the thickness of the boards, anything you want to ask me about these, I have an answer for. Same thing goes for whatever product you're gonna sell. If you're gonna sell t-shirts, guess what? You need to know what cotton, how much percentage cotton or polyurethane, or, you know, what effects each of those have, you know, the fabric. You're gonna have to know all that stuff, right? So you got to know your product very well before you even start selling it. And once you do know your product, it doesn't matter if it's popular out there. It doesn't matter how many people are looking, you know, like, oh, the drop shipping, they always say, oh, look for the popular product. Well, guess what? Everybody else is doing the exact same thing. Everybody's looking for that exact same product, you know, to be able to market, brand, and then sell themselves. So don't go for something that's popular. If you want to, if you know it, that's fine, great, do it. But I recommend do something that you like, and not necessarily like, but you know very well, you know. If you know about forklifts, hey, buy forklifts from China and try selling them here. If you like, if you know a lot about carpentry, hey, go buy wood, make wood products and sell wood products, woodworking. You know, you know a little bit of nails, because you're a carpenter. Hey, guess what? Buy boxes of nails from China and sell them over here. You know, there's 100 ways of doing it. Most of our jobs, most of the things we try to focus on are more industry based. So it's like, okay, what are the plants needing right now? What do the plants waste a lot of? They waste a lot of machinery, a lot of metal, a lot of this, a lot of that. So what can we sell them? You know, we can buy bearings, we can sell bearings, we can buy nails, because some companies use nails or bolts. We can sell those, we can provide them with this, we can provide them with that. They use pallets. Let's start, you know, recycling pallets and reselling them to plants and all that stuff, you know. So it's quite a bit to think about. I know I spent quite a while thinking of like, oh, what product should I sell? What product should I sell? What product should I sell? Despite being already here with my dad, I always try to be active with the whole entrepreneurship lifestyle. So I'm always trying to create new businesses, trying to look for the next opportunity. You know, so far we have created a few. I've seen them get created through my dad. You know, I've been able to follow step by step on how he does most of his things. And I'm gonna tell you, it's hard. It's a very hard decision, because, you know, it's something you're gonna have to study and get deep into. You know, you can't just half butt it and then not, you know, follow through with it. You have to get in there. You have to understand your product. You have to market it. You have to brand it. You have to sell it. You have to do all kinds of stuff, you know, that go into, you know, selling and creating a business and being an entrepreneur. You know, it's not how people think. We're like, oh, find a product, throw your brand on it, do a couple AI videos on it, throw it in your Shopify store, then make a few ads, do that, and boom, you're gonna start selling and you're gonna make millions and you're gonna have a Lamborghini by the end of the day. You know? No, that's not how it works. That's not how we do it here. Yes, we live a very nice lifestyle. We're able to come to work however we want, whenever we want, and leave whenever we want. You know, my dad's currently building his multi-million-dollar house. You know, we have multiple cars. You know, we give some of the cars to the workers, you know, to drive to work and all that stuff. We have our own personal vehicles. You know, we are able to provide a whole bunch of, you know, donations to churches and all that stuff. Like, we are living good. We know what we're talking about, and we are not promising you a get-rich-quick scheme. We're telling you to get to understand your product and really, really, really get to understand your product. Know every ins and outs of it. That way, where you become a professional about it, because you're gonna have to be a professional because you're gonna start selling that product. So if you're making money out of something, you better know everything about that something you're selling. A lot of people, they just don't want to put in the work. And that's where we come in and we dominate. You know, there's a lot of people out there. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to generate a little bit of extra income. But not everybody's willing to put in the work. So that's where we come in. That's where you come in. And you say, you know, I'm going to beat the competition. I'm better than my competition because I know what I'm talking about. I know what my product is worth. I know that you need it. So let's get something. Let's make a deal. What do you say? Let's shake on it. This and that, you know. And again, wholesale. If you can sell, instead of being able to sell 1 or 2 of your products to one individual, try selling hundreds of your products to one store, 200 products to one store, you know. And you do that not by going door to door in your neighborhood, but by going door to door to businesses, you know. And it's a different environment. It's a different situation when it comes to negotiating business to business, or business owner to manager to business owner. It doesn't matter. Whoever you're going to go to sell to, it's a different conversation you're going to have than your neighbor Karen over here, who's all like, why are you soliciting in my neighborhood? You know, it's a big difference. It's a whole new world that most people that preach nowadays in social media saying, oh, do this, do that, have never even seen. You know, have never even had to deal with actually negotiating with another business and being turned down and having those tough conversations and you know, doing that type of stuff. Everybody wants to be from the safety of their own home, from the computer, just trying to do everything. Is it possible? Will it work for you? I don't know. It might work for you. If it does, great. Then you shouldn't care what I have to say, right? I'm just telling you what has worked for us and what continues to work with us, because we've opened multiple services, we've sold multiple different types of products, and they all sell and they all generate us income. At the end of the day, it does not matter what you're going to sell. A good entrepreneur does not care what product he has to sell. He just goes and sells, or he finds a way to sell that product. You know, what makes a good entrepreneur is his ability to sell and his characteristics that define him, right? So don't focus on, oh, what type, or don't waste too much time on what product I should sell, this and that. Focus on something you do know. It doesn't even have to be a product. It could be a service. You know, just know what you're doing and sell that. You're selling yourself. You're selling your brand. You're selling your knowledge on that, it is you're coming to offer, right? So don't waste too much time on, I haven't found the ideal product. The ideal product doesn't exist. The ideal product only exists when you make it exist. You have to make it ideal. If you want to start selling shirts, or if you already have this, if you already have that, well, guess what? Start pushing to sell those. Don't buy more boxes. Don't buy a whole bunch of inventory. No, start off small and sell those. Or buy a lot and then sell all of it off to a store. You know, that's what makes a good entrepreneur, being able or having the ability to go and sell whatever it is. You know, sell me this pen. You know, that's a famous quote everybody's ever heard of if you're in the entrepreneur, you know, industry and all that stuff. Sell me this pen, a pen. If you can sell a pen, you can sell anything. And it doesn't have to be a pen. Sell whatever you want. Just go out there and start selling, start communicating, start creating those connections, start contacting people, start having those hard, tough conversations that no one wants to have. And you'll slowly start to get recognized. You'll slowly start to see some progress. You'll slowly start to land one client. It all starts with one, and from there you can focus on how to better your technique to go for the second, then the third, then the fourth, and before you know it, you're going to be doing very well in this business industry and all that stuff, right? But it takes time, it takes a lot of hard work, it takes a lot of hard conversations, and it takes getting out of your comfort zone. With that being said, guys, hopefully y'all found this video entertaining. Hopefully y'all found it informational and somewhat motivational. If y'all did, make sure to leave a like down below. If you have any questions or would like for me to dive deeper into any sort of topic or anything like that, make sure to leave a comment. That way I can read it and maybe even respond or make a video on it. With that being said, guys, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Entrepreneur to the Second Power. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification. That way you're notified anytime I do update or post on this video, which is going to start to be a lot now because this is our new channel. This is something new for us, but we are going to start to spill a lot of information on y'all. And we want these in video format. That way my daughters can see it when they grow up. That way my brother and family members can see it when we grow up. Neighbors, friends, they can see this here and they can learn from us. So we're not going to be hiding anything from y'all. We're going to tell y'all things straightforward. We're going to tell you things the way they are. If it hurts your feelings, that's how the world is. You have to hear this. You have to hear the reality, the truth, and the harsh reality of what it is to own a business. So with that being said, guys, hopefully I enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless.